Okay, what we're going to work on today is our interior view of a room in one-point perspective. So our finished product is going to come out something kind of like this. You might not have this much information in it, but it'll come out kind of close to this. Some things will be different, but a lot of it will be similar. So what we're going to need to do is we'll review first what's a vertical, horizontal, horizon line, and a vanishing point, and then we'll get started on the drawing. You're going to have two rulers today. So first you're going to use a pencil, paper, eraser. You'll need a short ruler and a longer ruler, 12-inch and an 18-inch ruler. So just a quick review. This is what we did the day before, or it is a one-point perspective if we didn't do it the day before. We have the horizon line here that separates the earth from the sky. We have the vanishing point here, which is where all the converging lines meet at. These then, any line that is angled back towards that point is known as a converging line. And then we have vertical lines that go north and south or up and down like this. And we have horizontal lines that go east to west or left to right like this. Okay? So in order to do the interior view of a room, you're going to need your name and class ID at the bottom right-hand corner of the paper. Okay, so whatever class period you're in, that's your class ID. Then you're going to flip it over, and we're ready to begin. So you're going to take your ruler, the bigger ruler, the 18-inch one, and what you're going to do is we're going to draw two diagonal lines. Everything that we draw today, you want to make sure that you keep very light, okay, because there's a pretty good chance that we're going to be erasing a good portion of it. So anytime we go to line something up, I always go from one of the points that I'm trying to line it up. So we're going to go from the bottom right-hand corner up to the top left. And you want to make sure that you take your time and you get these measured out pretty well, because if not, it will have an effect on your drawing. Okay, so we draw that really light, a diagonal line. Then you're going to do the same thing from the top right. Line it up with the bottom left. And lightly sketch a line across. Okay? And in the center here, this is going to be your vanishing point. Now, what you're going to do next, that's these four lines, that's what we just put in. So what we're going to, and we have our vanishing point. So the next thing we're going to put in is a rectangular shape for our back wall. So you're going to take your ruler, and you're going to be measuring somewhere in between these two converging lines here. You're going to line your ruler up with the edge of the paper, because the edge of the ruler is 0, and we're going to measure down 2.5 inches. So you're going to line your ruler up at the top or bottom of the paper, and you're going to put a little mark at 2.5 inches. Okay, it is the darker red line in between the 2 and the 3. Okay, so put a mark at 2.5 inches. Once you do that, we're ready to start to put in our horizontal and vertical lines. So I'm going to line my pencil up with that mark that I just made. I'm going to line my ruler, either the edge of the ruler or a dark red line at the edge of the paper here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a horizontal line in between the two converging lines, like so. Then I'm going to go from the edge of the horizontal line. I'm going to line my ruler up either at the edge of the paper or take a red line and line it up with the edge of the paper. I'm going to sketch a vertical line down to the next converging line there. Okay? Then I'm going to go from the bottom of that vertical line your ruler up. Hopefully you're noticing that every time when I say to line the ruler up, I'm taking my time, not rushing, because you want to do a good job so that hopefully these will line up pretty easily, or be pretty close like this here. Okay, so then you're going to take your ruler. Now if it's not going to line up, like let's say it's at an angle like this, don't draw your line. Go back and recheck your horizontals and verticals and make sure that they're straight. And if it's off a little bit, it's not a big deal. But you want to draw a vertical line up, and hopefully they meet. If they don't, call me, myself, or the instructional aide over, and we can help you. Alright, next step. Once you have your back wall and your ceiling, floor, and your side walls, we're going to take in the parts that make it look like an envelope, we're going to erase those out. Keep your vanishing point, though. You do not want to get rid of your vanishing point. And this is why you want to make sure that you're drawing lightly, because lighter lines are extremely easy to erase. Okay, next. We're going to start to put in the ceiling and the flooring. Okay, we'll be erasing some of that, so once again, you want to keep your lines very light. And what we're going to do is down here at the bottom of the paper, so I'm taking my ruler and I'm lining it up at the bottom edge of the paper, close to the bottom edge, I should say. I have a little space there. I'm going to put a dot every half inch, or a mark. So that happens at the half inch, the 1, the 1.5, the 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11, and 11.5. So you should have 23 dots altogether. Okay, next, what you're going to do is you're going to go from that dot. Make sure that you look up here, okay, pencils down and eyes up here, because I want you guys to see this, see how it goes across, because it feels weird to draw this sometimes. So I'm going to go from this dot, line it up with my vanishing point, and I'm going to draw only from the back wall out to the edge of the paper. I put my pencil back up here to the vanishing point, I pivot, and then I draw. Okay, so pencil, pivot, draw. Still want to keep these lines light. Pencil, pivot, draw. And hopefully what you'll notice is that these lines, as you're going from each dot, from dot to dot to dot, you're noticing that the ruler is moving around the vanishing point like hands on a clock. And it feels weird, especially when you get to these ones in the center, because it's a foreshortened view. Because these are the boards that are closest to us, so we have a foreshortened view of them. And it feels odd, but prospectively it is correct. Okay, so every time you go to draw a line, you take it back to the vanishing point. It literally, your ruler is literally going to rotate around the vanishing point to put the floorboards in. Okay, a few common mistakes. Sometimes students will do this, where they have it lined up and they extend the line onto the back wall. That's not a problem if you did that. You just want to make sure that you erase it. And another thing that students do, they'll get this angle, and then they just keep that angle as they go from dot to dot. But the problem with that is that once you get to here, you're hitting the edge of the wall, and you can't really finish it out. Okay? Not that floors don't usually have designs like that. They can, but it would be a different type of perspective that we'd be putting in. All right, next. Moving on to the ceiling. What we're going to do this time, we're going to measure every half inch, but I'm going to go to the top of the back wall here. I'm going to line my ruler up at the top of the back wall. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see. And then I'm going to put a dot every half inch, which is every dark red line, like so. Okay, the whole way to the 5. Once you get to the 5, that should be far enough. And then we're going to do the same thing. Now these are going to look slightly different because when we go to put these in, they're going to get bigger. Okay, closer out towards the paper. It's because of where we put the 1/2 inch marks at. So what you want to do is, we're going to do the same thing. From the vanishing point, line it up with the dot there, sketch it out. Vanishing point, pivot, dot. If you're left-handed, you can start on the left-hand side. You don't always have to start on the right. I'm just right-handed, so I start on the right. Do whatever's comfortable for you. The key thing here is that you keep it light and then it's lined up with the vanishing point. So hopefully now you can see, you're kind of getting a feel for how this works. And you can see that the size of the boards here is much larger than here. And these aren't even going to be boards, but the size of the pieces that we're putting in here are larger. Okay? Alright, next. What we're going to do is we're going to have like tiles almost on the top. And you could switch this and make this your flooring if you wanted to, if you didn't like the design of tiles at the top. But to do that, we want the tiles to be bigger, closer to the edge of the paper, and get smaller as they go back towards the top edge of the back wall. So to do that, you're going to line your roller up from the top right-hand corner of the back wall, and you're going to go to the top left-hand corner of the paper. So once again, top right-hand corner of the back wall, and you line it up with the top left-hand corner of the paper, and every place that the ruler crosses one of those converging lines that you just put in, you're going to put a dot. Okay, so it looks like that. If we were to connect those dots, it would make a diagonal line across the ceiling there. Okay, next, they're going to end up being horizontal lines, but I like to flip my paper to do this part because I find it easier to draw. So you can do that or you can leave it horizontally, it's up to you. But I'm going to go from each one of those dots, I'm going to line my ruler up at the top or bottom, or I'm going to take a red line and line it up with the edge of the paper. I'm going to sketch a line, but I'm keeping it in between these two converging lines here. So I'm going to do the same thing here again. Go from the dot, line my ruler out. I'm going to sketch a line from converging line to converging line. Hopefully what you'll notice is by the end this gets a little difficult to draw because the lines are so close together. But when you flip it the right way around, you'll notice that it works. It definitely looks like realistic because of the linear perspective. And last one. So at this point we have our floor, we have our left wall, back wall, right wall, and we have our ceiling. If these dots bugged you, you could go back in and erase them out, but our next step would be to add in a window.